Thank you so much for joining us on Africa This Morning. We're now on Table Talk, and today we're going to be discussing innovation, and one innovation specifically that might change the way you're doing your shopping, in the sense that the places that you're going to be shopping at are going to be respecting you a little bit more and awarding you some kind of reward, so that to ensure that you are loyal. Joining us to share on his innovation is Naftali Oboni, who is the CEO of Mzawadi. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Give
us your backstory before we get into Mzawadi and what it will do for us as a nation.
First, let me say that the origin of Mzawadi actually came about when we boarded a taxi one of the times, I think 7 months ago. And this taxi man had just bought a new taxi, and he said, I'm going to give free rides for my customers because I bought a new car. And after that, I thought, how comes this guy is giving loyalty in an unstructured way? And then I started thinking around. You go to a movie, to buy a movie somewhere in town, shop, you buy 4, they give you an extra one. All this type of loyalty. Then I thought, how can we be able to make loyalty accessible to the lowest end of the business, so that when you go to your grocery shop at the estate, a mama mboga there can be able to offer loyalty, and you can redeem a skuma at the end of before, if you are broke before end month.
Anyanya.
So I thought we have to make loyalty accessible, because it has been a preserve of the big ones who are able to access
the major players in the market.
And that was what drove our innovations.
When you're looking at the Mzawadi innovation, it came from a point of your life when you were working for other companies and you felt, okay, I need to create this change. How did that change emerge? What inspired you to create a change that will influence the way big players in, for example, the supermarket industries in the country are doing their business?
No, I've worked a long time with the civil societies, for a long time, working with communities a lot. And the aspiration at the end of the day is, how do you make the small entrepreneurs, because what I've been doing much of the life is on entrepreneurship with the communities who are really having trouble coming up, who have issues in terms of how they can break into the market. And that aspires you to think of a solution that you can give them, that they can be able to at least enjoy the benefits of what the major players are enjoying in the market. And going into technology company, where I worked in a technology company, and then I thought, now it's time we pull up a team, have a good team, and start working on an innovation that can be able to disrupt the market and be able to give that accessibility to SMEs. And by the way, if you know that SMEs in this country actually contribute 90% of new jobs that Kenyan create, they have employed 30% of the Kenyan employment mass. And in actual sense, they are contributing 70% of GDP in Kenya, about $9.07 billion. Those are the people that everybody has to look at. And that's why we looked at a solution that SMEs can be able to use to be able to get their businesses competitive.
When you're looking at SMEs, even as you're looking at the nature of small and medium-sized businesses and also startups, what are some of the gaps that impede them from taking up technology as a core aspect in running their businesses?
One of the key things that we have to appreciate is that really SMEs are trying to embrace technology, but the cost of technology is really not very easy. Why? Because Kenya has been dominated by resellers. In actual sense, most of the software companies in Kenya are reselling softwares from India, or they're having their developers in India. That makes the cost of the software as high. So if you are telling, for example, a small medium enterprise company to do an ERP for their business, transform their business processes, you're talking about a lot of money they cannot be able to afford. And that means what? It means now they have to do with smaller softwares which are segmented to help them at least push their business. So cost is a big impediment, and you understand that everybody knows that access to credit and finances for SMEs is not a very easy thing. Mostly we talk about startups, or we talk about small businesses which are really trying to break through the market. So that is one of the biggest gaps in technology in this country. And sometimes people might say that Kenya has really produced innovators in technology. Yes, we have. We have incubating companies like HiHub, NileHub. These are
and
guys
universities really also working to incubate
students. They're really trying to, most of the young graduates currently are really good. They really develop good softwares. But most of the software developers, the software is in their computer. It's just at the desktop, that's where it ends. they incubate them, they graduate from the incubation, the guys are amazing developers, but transforming that into business becomes a problem.
How did you transform your vision, your dream from your laptop into something that can be adopted in the industry?
One of the key things that we did, and I think everybody should be able to do, is bring together a team of people with the same aspirations. Sometimes people think that you can only bring a team together if you have money because you have to pay them. Some people just want to own everything, but bring these people together, share the same dream. Give them a bit of shareholding in what you are thinking.
Some sense of ownership.
Some sense of ownership. People have dreams and people can aspire to do something. But if you bring people together and then you just say, I have to get a loan to pay my developers, to pay my marketing people, and you're a startup. I mean, you can't, not banks in Kenya touches startups. You just have marriage, they keep saying that they'll touch something. They don't touch startups. That is for true.
It's high risk.
It's a high risk. It's understandable, yes, but it's a problem. So you must be able to have a strategy on how for example, in Mzawadi, you have a team of 8 people. These are developers. These are guys of business developers. These are people who are system analysts. These are a team that can be able to do a lot for this country at a very minimal cost because they're people you share dreams with.
Understanding that you're not able to do it all, that is one of the tips that we would have wanted to ask you a little bit later on for startups who are willing to diversify their business and adopt a technological perspective. But at this point, I know there's a viewer out there who's wondering, what are they actually talking about? Everybody has a loyalty card for a particular business, a particular supermarket, any card that will allow you to get rewards as a result of negotiating or doing business with them. At this point, we have had an opportunity to get a peep into what Naftali is introducing to us. We'd want you to explain at this point what Mzawadi is, how will it change us carrying that card to actually having a paperless, cardless moment or interaction with a business.
Beryl, one of the things that you'll appreciate is that you can forget your card at home, but you don't forget your phone. So one of the things that we say...
And if you do, you go back.
You go back. Or at least if you forgot your phone, you know your phone number. So what you try to create is how do you make it possible that people can be able to get loyalty by just having loyalty on their phone. So what we did is bringing the cards into the phone as a wallet. So this means what? A business does not need to have any infrastructure to offer loyalty. What that means is that if, for example, a business has a point of sale where they usually do the purchase for software for people purchasing, we only come there and integrate to your point of sale, and when a customer comes, you purchase, so long as you are Mzawadi registered. How do you do this? And a customer goes, those ones who have feature phones, the normal phone, which does not, it's not a smartphone, you go to your phone, dial *415, *100 hash, and you go through the process of registration one time, meaning once you register, you can get loyalty to any business that is Mzawadi compliant anywhere in this country. If you have a smartphone, you go to Play Store, you download the app, and then you sign up. So what does that mean? It means that wherever you are a business which does not have a point of sale, let me give that, that's why my emphasis is, because that is the people we developed the solution for initially. That's what the people we thought about. For example, I have a salon. I want to give loyalty to my people who come to a salon. I have very loyal customers, by the way, but I've not been rewarded. So you download the Android app as a merchant. As on your phone or your tablet, we open for you an account, a merchant account in that Android app where you start offering loyalty. And then we give you a very comprehensive reporting system.
So the point of sale can literally be my smartphone as a business owner?
Yes, that is what it means. What it means here is that why can't those people who cannot afford a computer and a software, point of sale software are not very cheap in this country, who cannot afford that also offer loyalty. That's why I said, why can't a taxi person who is having a smartphone offer loyalty to the customers given a ride and then reward you with some points? Then when you reach, for example, 100 points or 50 points, depending on how the person
the standard has been set,
yes. And then give you a ride. Or today, for example, you go to a restaurant and you don't have enough money, or to a pharmacy I have enough points in my phone. I tell you, by the way, because of this, I have 200 points. Can you go redeem in this specific taxi? Use it because you don't have enough money. You redeem that in a taxi that that you got points from. You see, one thing you have done, you have introduced a new client to this taxi person, courtesy of the points you have transferred. Are you seeing it?
Yeah.
So the current loyalty system in this country, which is card-based, you can't transfer. The businesses are selfish.
Once it's lost, it's lost.
It's lost. You go to a supermarket, you forgot your card, your shopping goes to the next person who is behind you.
Can I dare introduce a perspective, even as you've said, that yes, the card system is very selfish.
Yes.
It's capitalistic. Are you
Yes.
trying to introduce a communist perspective in the business environment?
Yes, no. A capitalist economy is a good economy for us, but we want to we don't want to have capitalism, which is
impedes
for
on
the
the-
preserve of the people
Yeah.
who are only able to let everybody be a capitalist. For example, what is going to have is that, let's an example, every taxi person has this kind of loyalty. Now, what it will depend is how is he or she going to structure their loyalty to make it more competitive.
Your Excellence will actually accord you loyalty from your
Yes,
clients.
that's what is going to happen.
Yeah.
Because what is going to happen, a barber shop next and a salon next have the same loyalty. This other person will say, by the way, I'm going to, if you come to my salon, if you get these points, you can redeem them at a spa that have gone into partnership. Or another one will say, by the way, if you come to my barber shop or you come to my supermarket, my points can be redeemed in a cinema. These people will start becoming more competitive, and we have given them a gateway through which they can partner and allow cross-industry coalitions. I go to an airline, for example, I go to a pharmacy, I pick medicine, I get loyalty. It does not mean I'll go back to that pharmacy to pick to go and redeem drugs when I'm not sick. But no, what will happen? That pharmacy will say, by the way, if you redeem here, if you come here, we have partnered with this specific wellness clinic or a gym in which you can go redeem and get discount for a gym. You see, these guys are giving you extra value.
Would it be possible to actually have that happen, considering that when you're looking at the introduction of cards, that is a collaboration that is cross-national? Are you going against a tsunami? Are you going against the heavy tide that is already present in the nation?
We want to swim that way, and one of the things that you'll get to understand is this market is very hungry. Businesses, the one we have at least talked to, they have been yearning for something that does not that gives value. That's one thing. But maybe I want Kenyans and most viewers to know: loyalty is a liability to a business. Let me give you a statistic. Bonga Points of Safaricom on Business Daily, I was reading the other day, they have about 3 billion worthy of Bonga Points which have been unredeemed. You know what that means? It's a liability to that business. Supermarkets have huge liabilities of people who have not redeemed their points. That's a liability in their balance sheet. It affects their profits. Are you seeing that? So why can those businesses be able to allow their customers redeem their points elsewhere?
Have you
It
had
gives
that,
them value.
Have you had that conversation with them? Are they willing? And at the moment, what or which businesses have you been able to approach that have taken up the M-Zawadi structure?
The takeover, which has really gone very fast within, we launched a month ago. And we have a few businesses, online businesses took this very up, I think because they are technologically more savvy.
Yeah.
And we have a chain of supermarkets and not a smaller supermarkets at the estate level who are trying to think of how do we start printing cards and this kind of thing, and some pharmacies. Our takeover has gone faster on online shops and pharmacies. And one of the things that we realized, the feedback we got from the market, is that the smaller businesses who have not been able to print cards were actually already understood what loyalty is. And that makes the uptake very, very fast because they understood, they had already done calculations of how much it will cost them to print an average card, a smart card, like what you see in major supermarkets in this country, costs about $5, one card. You need to buy a printer for printing those cards. Are you saying that? You need to have a reader to read that card. That's a huge cost infrastructure-wise when it comes to cards. Then you have your customers who will lose a card or misplace a card,
and request for
another one. But what supermarkets have done is they fine you 1,000 shillings. They're punishing you for being loyal just because you misplaced your card. And you see, that is something that Kenyans will say, okay, I mean, why should I pay for a card and it's them who want me to be loyal to their business?
Yeah.
Are you seeing that?
Yeah.
So the uptake has become very fast for those kind of businesses. We tell them, but they don't need anything. You have your smartphone, download the app right now, and if I give you the cost, I want to tell you that we're not selling a software called Mzawadi. It's a SaaS model. Those ones, just to simplify it, is we are giving you a service to use. You pay us a rental fee at the end of the month, and we are charging from lower as 500 shillings per month for a barber shop down there to as high as 5,000 shillings per month for those high-end businesses.
So it depends on the business that is commissioning.
That's why it's very affordable for anybody to have a loyalty. And one of the critical things that maybe I need to mention is that loyalty is not just rewards. Data is very critical. Businesses in Kenya have a problem when it comes to business intelligence. Data. They don't know who is their customer, what age the customer is, what gender the customer is, where the customer comes from.
So how are you sensitizing them to be able to use this to change the way they do their business, and also for the clientele to be able to understand that they are in a sense benefiting, they're all the way benefiting in relation to the collaboration that they have between the businesses that they're going to be doing their interactions with?
One of the things that we have done, we have introduced monthly seminars. We call them business loyalty seminars every month for smaller businesses or for companies who want to know how to structure loyalty. So that you don't go give people points more than even your margins. So you understand that aspect of, and we're giving this for free. And then after that, one of the things that we are giving you a tool for you to use. The moment we give you loyalty, we give you an interface through which you access, you know, who came to the shop, who has gotten points, who is the highest purchaser, who is the repeat purchaser. You have all that data. You'd
be able to structure a business to lean towards the needs of the clientele.
So when you are, for example, marketing, for example, you have an SMS gateway free there in the same interface, a bulk SMS gateway. So what you do is that you can be able to analyze and see, I have my business, the highest purchases are from age of 20 to 25, for example. That is already generated, auto-generated. Then when you structure your SMSs or your marketing advertising messages, you advertise correctly. You know, some businesses end up sending people a message. They're sending the same message they're sending to my mother, the same message they're sending to me. Are you seeing? Why? Because they don't have the dynamics of understanding who their customer is and the buying behaviors of this customer. And that's what we are giving you. So it's beyond loyalty. It's also adding value to your business.
How are we ensuring that even as they have this very valuable data, security is a priority? Because we know in this 21st century, cybercrime is now on the increase. And now we are now putting all our information online. Our lives are halfway online. How do we ensure that we protect the clientele and protect the businesses even as they're conducting their transactions online?
One of the things we did as startup is to try to reduce the cost of investing in security on our own. For example, building our own servers locally and trying to put all the securities is a very critical thing. That's why we took our servers to Amazon. Amazon is one of the most secure servers in the world. It's actually one of the biggest servers after Microsoft servers. So they in UK, so that's where every data goes to. So the security is guaranteed from their side. And one of the things that we do that your account as a merchant is your account. Meaning the moment we give you an account, you put your own password, they're encrypted. Meaning we don't even ourselves access your data or no another business accesses your data. One of the things that people will ask, so do these points, for example, I move from one shop to another shop, do they mix? No, they don't, because every shop is separated by having a unique merchant code.
Does it drag the transfer of points from one business and transaction point to the next?
When it comes to it drags, but within the same business. Meaning, if, for example, I come to shop A and I shop A twice or thrice, my points will be accumulating at shop A. So in your app, or if you use your USSD to check your balance of points, you check balance based on the shop you visit. So, but when you're using a smartphone, the app can give you a summary of points for each of the shops that you visit, meaning they don't mix. Your business, for example, you're a business person, you access data for only those people who have shopped in your business. You can only access that. The other shop B will access for their own. Why? Because you have to ensure security in that no business wants to share customers' data, for example. You'll want to guard your customers because that is your asset. Are you saying it? And so that you can use it, because loyalty is about closing in and making sure you lock in your customers. Because the cost of acquiring a new customer is so high than maintaining the existing customers.
So is the same strategy of the card, is the same strategy of the card adopted on M-Zawadi, it's just that it's online?
It's the same strategy, it's both over loyalty. That's the general concept. It's both over loyalty. The difference is the card infrastructure locks you into that customer, to that specific merchant. That means that card, one thing of what will happen is, can you imagine today, where you do your hair is different from where you take a drink or take coffee. Where you go for buying shoes is different. You have about 8 different merchants you usually visit for your normal
If not
shopping.
100,
No, if not 100. Can you imagine the number of cards you will have in your wallet? People might be thinking you have money in your wallet, kumbe it's only full of cards. That is what we have eliminated, so that you don't have to have cards at all. So the concept of loyalty is the same. The difference here also is that you are allowing people to do 3 critical things. 1, data, which your card cannot be able to give you. 2, you have access to transfer of points. Number 3, you have that close industry coalitions. We have partnered with a multinational company for gifts and vouchers, allowing you that those merchants who will accept to be on the platform, they will be able to have their customers redeem their points in major 4,000 brands across the world. That is going to be major. It means I can walk into Kenya Airways today when I'm paying for my ticket and use my points. That is something that is going to be a breakthrough, that we are allowing every smaller merchant, just from your mobile phone, be able to access a major service from brands you could not have accessed in terms of loyalty.
In the natural format.
Yes.
What conversations are being put forward right now, even as we are dealing with this potentially industry shaker innovation? What are we doing to ensure that the government also responds by availing better infrastructure to allow for deeper penetration of the internet, to expand the possibilities for M-Zawadi to be adopted for small and medium-sized businesses especially?
One of the things that maybe we approach the government with is in terms of this high penetration of smartphones in the country, which is a really good thing. Internet has penetrated, but the penetration level is not very high, considering that most parts of this country are still on edge or 2G network. They have not gone to 3G network. So that, of course, is a hindrance. And Kenyans have not reaped the benefits of fiber cable Kenya, because we expected the internet cost to go down by a high percentage. But I learned that most of these companies are trying to recoup back the investment they put into fiber optics. So we are hoping it will be able to be more cheaper than it is right now. And we can be able to have the infrastructure of fiber across the country, because that is the only way. One of the things that you'll come to understand, that there are so many innovative Kenyans out there, but they can't access internet. Or if they access it, it's expensive for them. For example, I can access the phone, my internet on the phone, but that is as far as it goes for reading materials. You see, that is different. I need to access internet, download materials, users using a lot of data, read books, that's a lot of data. That's costly. You see, they can all say that penetration is high and all that on our phones. Yes, we can read our emails and all that. But as an innovator, as a techie person, how far can you go with that kind of internet? If I want to install internet in my house and you are asking me for this much at the end of the month, and I'm unemployed, I'm trying to develop an innovation for myself, and it's not going to be possible. And if that, even some companies who have really tried to reduce the cost, it's only accessible in some specific areas, even in Nairobi, in some specific areas. Can you imagine somebody in Lamu who has not been privileged, but if he gets the internet, reads some materials about entrepreneurship, innovations, technology trends, and all those kind of things, how will we be able to do that?
When you're looking at the country's progress right now, we've talked of the internet penetration or potential. does devolution hold for such innovation, even as we're looking at having counties maximize on their identities, counties maximize on the potential of looking at counties and commerce, culture and commerce? What potential lies therein?
You know, one of the things that is having a problem with counties is that they have not cracked through these issues of innovation and technology. They are fumbling in terms of what softwares they can install for their. Like the other day, they were being asked about IFMIS. They said we don't have internet for people to use IFMIS in the county. But what are they doing? They need to start understanding about them collaborating with the companies which are laying the infrastructure of optical fiber, and see how can we entice them, give them subsidies to be able to come to our county and lay this fiber optic. You see, you cannot grow your county by just thinking about the revenue. I'm learning some counties were even taxing these guys for doing the laying. But they are trying to help your people, and then you're trying to introduce some taxes for them. Because the county's first thing they need to do is bring fiber optic to their county. That's the first thing. That's the first thing they need to do. The second thing is do hotspots for Wi-Fi for guys to access it. The places that I'm trying to do in a few counties, they have tried to do, they did it wrongly, because one of the things that happens in most of these counties, and it happens even sometimes in the government, is whereby you are at the mercy of the supplier. I come to you and I tell you, by the way, I can do you a hotspot. And then I get the tender and I do a short job. 6 months down the road, Wi-Fi is not working. So one of the things that they need to do as this county is get internet to your county, because with optical fiber it means even a county in Lodwar can be able to do that. If they can't lay the cable to that extent, they can use WiMAX. There are so many technologies of getting internet
to the people.
Yes.
When you're looking at the final end of the conversation, what can we expect from you, Naftali, as the CEO of Mzawadi, and also looking at the frontier ahead of you, because I know diversity is key with every business.
Yes,
I know
yes,
Mzawadi is not going to be the innovation
That's
of
true.
your life.
Yes, yes.
Let's look at what lies ahead for you, and as a company, even as you're looking at internet penetration, you're looking at engaging, adopting e-commerce into SMEs as well, or for SMEs, and also looking at youth and innovation, even as we close.
One of the key things that we have an aspiration as a team of Mzawadi is what we have always believed in. If we are driven by aspiration, innovation, we'll be able to achieve what we want. Kenya has always been driven, innovators have been driven by poverty and necessity, where there's a need. Because I'm jobless, can I innovate? You know, that is not the drive behind innovation. But if you drive behind innovation, the aspiration, you can take it that far. So what we are trying to do is first focus on SME sector and focus on solutions that SMEs can be able to use at the lowest cost. So what we are doing, like Mzawadi, besides Mzawadi, because Mzawadi, we are really trying to build it up to the extent to which it can be rolled over across Africa, because it's a new solution. Globally, there's no this kind of solution anywhere in this world. That is what we have researched and known. It's a unique solution, but it's a Kenyan solution. So we aspire to create similar solutions for businesses, SMEs. One of the critical things that is affecting most of the small businesses is marketing. If you go to Makueni right now, you find a donor who has funded mamas there doing table banking and starting a small business of creating kiondos, for example. One of the things that you will ask them, so where are you selling your kiondos to? They don't know. Where are you selling your bee, your honey? They don't know. They are at the mercies of brokers. Why can't we create solutions that will make them access the market directly and eliminate brokers? Because what you'll understand that the margins of every small businesses there at the interior places is actually taken over by the brokers, because them they have access to the market. So the moment we create solutions which are going to be value chain, and then we go back to social enterprises, we create technologies for social enterprise business, for agriculture, for example, food security, for example, for climate change and the environment. Those innovations can spur. You know, Kenya was aspiring to be a green economy by 2030. It's one of the things people don't talk about, that what was in Vision 2030. But how do you create a green economy? Innovation is behind everything. You can only green this environment by going into innovations. So we want, actually we are recruiting a number of fresh graduates, not jobs, but incubating them, helping us be able to bring those ideas together. Because we understand, I believe myself, that every other person out there has something new to teach you. And that is how we have been able to grow. We are getting everybody who has an idea, come help us enhance this. I might have come up with the idea itself, but I'm not the one who is going to grow. It's through a team that is helping you grow it. And that's how the businesses can easily grow.
Even as we end, for startups out there, SMEs out there, give them a few tips, even as we're touching on e-commerce and small and medium-sized businesses. What are some of the few tips? You mentioned one earlier on. Let's mention 3 more.
Yeah, one of the things that also startups need to know, let me talk about those innovators. One of the things that they need to know is that they should be driven by the market, not from the ideas that they have in the head. They should be able first
being realistic about what the market needs.
Because some of them have very good solutions, but it's not applicable in the Kenyan market. They can be applicable elsewhere because this market is unique. So they have to be driven by the need from the market. Let them go out there, talk to, for example, if I want to venture into business innovations, go out there and talk to businesses and see what are they facing as a challenge and all that. Then think through. This is like what we call reverse engineering. Think through from there, then come and try to think about an innovation. That's a very critical thing. Then the third thing that I want to tell most of the startups and mostly techie guys is that if you have been given the gift or the skill of development, does not mean you are a good business person. So don't develop good techie savvy solution and you think you're going to transform this into business. Can you be able to work with the business mentors and have a business person? Because diversity of skills is very key. I'm a techie person, but I don't develop. Are you seeing what I mean? What I've done is put a team of developers, and I'm a business person, try to work through systems to tell them this is what you need to develop, and this I want, because to me to transform it. That's how you create diversity. Very amazing developers. But that is the skill they have. Let these other guys do their skill. So bring a dynamic team together. Don't walk around with your laptop with your amazing idea. That's very critical. And I think is the issue of apps. Apps in this country have been the limelight of innovations. But one thing that people don't realize, that there's 2 things. You create an app that is meant for the users out there. How do users know about your app? You need to advertise. And above the line marketing is very costly. If I come to Ebru tell you I want to put an advert for the whole of 1 month, I'm sure I'm not going to receive a very a very simple
conducive amount of money.
Yes, and you're a startup. So do apps that you know this one, I can be able to start generating money without having any capital to put in advertising. I've seen amazing apps, even them taking awards, amazing apps, but they end after the award. It's not their problem.
It's not functional.
They are functional, but they are not applicable. And those ones which are applicable, for them to get to the market, they need mass media marketing for users. For example, if today Mzawadi was targeting users, you and any other person, I have to go on radio and TV and tell users to apply, but that we don't targeting users. It's the business to tell their users to use Mzawadi.
Options.
Yes. So me, I target the business. Are you seeing what I mean? So it's about that business to tell their customers, by the way, we have loyalty, you need to. Are you saying what I mean?
We'll watch out for that conversation to see how enthusiastically business are going to be pushing the idea to their client. What's the next stop? We've started off in Kenya, which is the East African region. Where can we expect Mzawadi to stop off on? By the way, the south or the west?
We are trying to strengthen the Kenyan market. We have got an interest actually from 2 different countries in Africa who want us to roll it out in those countries. But we are saying, no, you're not in a hurry. You know, you have to first conquer your homeland for you to be able to know that you can conquer elsewhere.
How would you take the idea that some prophets are never well known in their country?
Yes, no, we have swayed against the wind. We want in every aspect, we go against the wind. And what I like about Kenya is that the businesses are very perceptive when it comes to ideas. And the technology in most of the countries that I've gone to, in Africa, for example, are really not very appreciative of technology. Even this M-Pesa of ours, the countries they have rolled out, the usage is still low. That tells you what? It tells you that Kenya, we appreciate technology and we take it. So that's very important.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and giving us a peep into the next invention. We are glad we know you now, 1 month into the innovation that could change the way businesses are doing business and valuing the interaction that they have with their clientele, not only looking at it on a paper or card front, but looking at it on an intellectual internet front, using e-commerce for small and medium-sized businesses, changing the frontier, trying to shake things up to ensure that we have conversations online that are valuing the way we do business here in Kenya and hopefully in the African continent. Thank you so much for joining us from the team and myself. Enjoy the rest of your viewing right here on Ebro Africa.